Aloha, cupcakes. Today we're going to be working with the grid. Insert Tron joke here. Now, I want you to understand there's going to be a lot of tools involved in this one, so we're going to put all of those in the description below, along with a link to this. Yes, believe it or not, we finally got to that point where we're monetized, but like, so you can do the thing where you press the little button and all that other stuff, but you don't really get much from it other than saying thank you to me. Or you click on the other link, get one of these. They come in different colors. They're amazing. It's a hat. At least you get something for making a donation to the channel at that point. I kind of support that a little bit more than the other one. Anyways, let's play with the grid. So let's start with our shopping list. First, you need something to paint on, and then you need a grid stencil, and there's a whole bunch of different versions. This is one of the Omnicrom pencils, and what is this? Triple Hippie, along with some Alpha 6 paint. I am going to use this little palette thing that people keep asking me about. They don't make these anymore, so you're going to just have to get a clipboard and stick some cups on it or something. Now, I already marked a couple lines on here just so I knew where to put the grid, but that was an accident. I don't know when I actually did that. I set this thing up. Anyhow, I'm using that as my guidelines, and we're just going to draw the lines. And anybody who's ever had any sort of drafting class, you can make a grid pretty easily. You can use some painter's tape. You can use actual measuring tools. Whatever floats your boat on this one. I am using this stencil for this one, and this is the old stripe line one. And I was really lucky that I found a couple links to this one, so one link. Yeah, just one. Now we're just going to turn it sideways, and that's how we get the lines that go sideways. I know that it sounds redundant, but, you know, sometimes you got to explain things, I guess. Anyhow, that's how we're going to get the lines. Just go across. This thing's made in a way where it lines up. There's these little lines that just kind of line up perfectly, so you're exactly 90 degrees from your existing lines. That and being lazy. So let's get this thing loaded up. I'm going to... where did that Alpha 6 go? Okay, well, we're going to use an old cup because I don't know where my new cups are. It's the same color. If it bleeds, it's fine. Once this stuff's dried and skinned over, it's really not that big of an issue in the cup because I put hardener in it. If you have the ability to use a new cup, use a new cup because apparently I don't think I have any more right now. I guess I'll order them. So anyhow, I'm going to palette out like I normally do. And this is just, I put a little bit of reducer in the cup and I just palette it out on the paper here just until I get it to where it's a good consistency, and then add a little more reducer on top of that because it's never quite right. So I always add just a little extra, just tiny little bit extra until I get it exactly where I want it to be. And remember that I'm painting on paper right now. This isn't the medium of choice. It's just a lot better for the cameras. So please don't do this. I mean, palette paper is fine if that's what you have to practice with, but if you have something better, use it. It's just that it's not glossy. So with all the lights and everything like that I'm working with, it doesn't reflect back. Okay, so for the grid, all I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this one straight line down the middle. And I'm just going to be a little offset from it and follow it all the way to where I feel like stopping. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side of that line. And this is going to be my centerpiece. From here, we're just going to build the design. And this is really just the beginning. So now every line that I do from this point, I'm going to start and end at one of the cross sections of the grid itself. I'm going to try to. There's going to be a couple of spots where I'm pretty sure I messed that up because I was talking while I was doing this. So like this one, we're just going to go right on top of that line, and I'm going to pull it till I'm almost as far down as the other line was, and then just stop where the grid line is. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to give it a little I don't know, parallel line to it. And then I'm just going to follow this same line, and then I'm going to give it like a teardrop shape to it. So it's not... I went a little further. Anyway, that's the other thing. I pay attention where you are on the grid because it's easy to mess up. I mean, it's also easy to fix, but you want your lines to actually meet up. It's important to have like a good corner to it. Now this one I'm going to start in the corner of this line here, and I'm just going to pull it to that existing line, but I'm going to stop just slightly short of it, and I'm still going to stop at the line on the grid. And that's all we're doing. Every line that I'm going to do, it's going to start and end at one of these intersections, or at least stop at a line, just to give it a little bit of I don't know, flavor. I guess I don't know what the word for it is. Let's see, just like that. Just trying to keep things very simple, especially for this, because I'm really just starting the design. Because from here, what I would do, well, once I've done all of this, normally at that point I would wipe the grid off completely and then just go nuts with it, I guess. So as much as you can leave the grid on forever and ever and ever, I tend to just use them for my first color if I'm going to use it at all. And that's been a thing lately where I've been, you know what, maybe I should, I'll do another one of these videos where I just use a single line just so you can get an idea of the contrast between them, but we'll do that later. But now this side, when I go to the opposite side, I'm just copying exactly what I did on the first side. So I follow the first line, I'm doing a little teardrop thing for the second line, and then I'm going to pull these curves the way that I did, just matching from point to point on the opposite side. This will help you to not only be able to create a design, this will give you a lot more of a starting point where you don't have to sit there and draw the entire design before you go. I think that's the bigger point of it all, because when you're designing a lot of this stuff, especially if you're using things like drafting tools and things like that, you have a tendency to do what the tool does, or you design it the way the tool is designed to do it. And then when you go to try to paint it, your hand doesn't work the same way that the tool did. I know it's a weird thing, but like let's say you're dealing with like a French curve, for example, the French curve doesn't flow the way your hand naturally does. And it's going to cause you to hesitate. It's going to cause you to have little quivers and tiny little just discrepancies in the lines themselves. Whereas if you're just doing what your hand naturally does with a rough guide as to where you're supposed to be, well, then your lines are going to typically be smoother, especially when you're starting out. It's like this one right here, I'm going to pull around and into the middle, and I don't particularly like trying to stick and adhere to these lines because I kind of undershot it, so I ended up doing a little bit more of a straight line towards the tail of that. It's kind of funky looking to me. That's just to my eye. It might be a flawless design to you, but to me, it looks a little weird. Like it should have more of a curvature to it, but I'm trying to follow the lines in the grid. And that's part of why I've been doing this stuff just completely without any guidelines. But when you're starting out, this will get you more comfortable with what you are capable of versus what you are required to do.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. That didn't even make sense to me. Sorry. Basically, the idea is to get you more comfortable doing this. Eventually, what you do is you just stop doing grid line altogether, or in theory, you could. I know a lot of guys who have designed everything they've ever done for all of eternity, and that seems to work fine for them. I don't know that I like doing that. I mean, there's some designs that you know, if you're copying from one side to another and you have to do it like, say, saddlebags on a motorcycle, so it needs to be identical. So this one, I let the thing flow a little bit more, so it kind of came out a little more natural, I think. We just got to adjust those tips. So one thing I dislike about the paper is when I go to start a line, because you're not already naturally moving, a lot of times it creates these weird little things where it's inconsistent at the start and end of a line. When you're doing like on a panel, or if you're on a car, it won't normally do that the same way, but on paper, because I have to get it to stick first before it'll pull a line, it's a little goofy there. See, like right there, I have to go retouch the corner. Not a huge fan of that. I think, you know, I think this one's gone as far as I'm going to go with this one. Because this is just the first color. I think we're going to let this one dry. I do have a couple other videos I got to finish making, because there's other stuff that I'm doing around here in the shop. But I'll come back to this one. For now, though, this should be enough for you to figure out how to take a grid and do some work with it. And I hope that this helps. At least it seems like it might. I don't know. There's probably a lot more questions you have. By all means, put them in the comments. Send me a message. Do the thing. Because I guarantee you I didn't cover everything in this one. See, these little corners. It's just the palette paper. The black paper stuff that I've been using, the alcohol paper, seems to be fine. This, not so much. So yeah, here, let's take a look at it real quick. This is, well, this is what it looks like. Pretty straightforward when you work with it. So there, I thought it was pretty simple. I think it's pretty straightforward, but I'm sure you have questions. So by all means, fire them off in the comments, or just let me know what I did that worked for you. Or, I don't know, the design's kind of cool. I don't know if I like it. I don't know that I like using a grid anymore. I've spent way too much time trying to not, but it kind of works, right? Hopefully it works for you. Anyways, merch link in the bio. Till next time, stay moist, my friends.